On May 23, 1993, wax, or the discovery of television among the bees, entered the internet, projected by a cable into a wall. Inside that internet, there are no movies there. And so wax, waiting until the last frame enters the wall, then begins the first movie on the internet, to continue forever, for that is how the first movie on the internet begins, at the first frame after the last frame. A true story, and this is that movie, and in reverse. And so, we begin.
As you are aware, the internet is a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens, how the handle of the coffee cup becomes the hole in the center of the DVD. How the interior of the coffee cup disappears into the surface of a flat disc as I spin. I am the first movie on the internet. I am inside a DVD on a coffee cup. I could show you how that happens. How the movie appears between two frames, between the front and the back of the DVD disc. I am the first frame after the last frame. I am the movie in the DVD on the coffee cup. I am wax, or the discovery of television among the bees. I am 999 years, 364 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 48 seconds long. And then it was dark, until dawn.
It was the language Cain had brought with him when he fled the Garden of Eden. It was the language Cain had brought with him when he fled the Garden of Eden. It was the language Cain had brought with him when he fled the Garden of Eden. It was the language Cain had brought with him when he fled the Garden of Eden.
Very simple interference patterns caused by plugging oscillators into a TV signal. Images caused by reactions between the speed, often unsteady, of the oscillator and the clocked continuance of the TV. Clocks which determine absolute position top of bottom and left to right of the box, creating an empty frame in which anything can happen. Up and down streaming stripes. screaming cane words, sighing cane sighs, didactically telling you about the benefits of the cane life, a wander life, without a job, without a car, without a body, nothing but perfect thoughts of perfect murder, which you are prevented from expressing. Praise be to God who devised this cane life. White noise, creaking streaks, nasal tones of the unmoved mover, singing an autistic song, tapping its feet to a self-made rhythm. More complicated soft-edge oscillators, potential egg shapes, lice eggs in subspace, waiting for a certain temperature to be reached before they hatch. An ascending light, or actually many of them. A highway that doesn't go anywhere, roadblocks ahead. Stopped by the sudden full moon, which has landed in the middle of the road.
The thought of this new world excited me. My walks became longer. The thought of this new world excited me. My walks became longer. The thought of this new world excited me. My walks became longer. The thought of this new world excited me. My walks became longer.
Full moon on left side of frame in a dark sky. The greatest spaceship ever seen. A flag, shared by parts of North America, Antarctica, the northern part of the Sea of Tranquility, as well as some small islands elsewhere, at least for a time, flapping under or maybe on the moon, during the day or during the night. A very nice landscape fantasy, mathematically executed, showing a land where helicopters mow your lawn and live in the trees. Oaks or maples just like those planted in the front or backyard of your home at the time of your birth. The point of view is floating just at treetop level, maybe hiding from prey or predator. A warrior's view, rolling through the air like a motorized storm cloud looking for its nest on the green and hollow plain. Here we are, where he was going. Actually Johnson's Space Center near Los Cruces. This is where they built, in metal garages, the strange-shaped lunar bug ships that actually stood on legs above the moon dust. This is also the place where spy satellite data drops to Earth, at an Air Force satellite farm to the right at the front gate. A tiny place which has a small circle perimeter fence, but which, by sad NASA lore, Johnson is one of those places giant during the moon program, and in shrinkage forever since, probably is an inverted skyscraper, with the entire -20th floor being an indoor track, running around a swimming pool.
I often found myself 15 or 20 miles downrange, still full of energy. I often found myself 15 or 20 miles downrange, still full of energy. I often found myself 15 or 20 miles downrange, still full of energy. I often found myself 15 or 20 miles downrange, still full of energy.
Jacob has arrived, and here's the owl in the background. Wise owl, alien in disguise. A test machine at Johnson, meant to check rocket engines in near vacuum atmospheres. Also used to test the operation of the Mars Explorer robot under simulated surface temperature and pressure conditions. A real simulator. That vacuum container, with attached darkness pump, as seen from the other side. A proto-TV.
My favorite stopping place was the launch site monument, where the Army had tested Nazi rockets. My favorite stopping place was the launch site monument, where the Army had tested Nazi rockets. My favorite stopping place was the launch site monument, where the Army had tested Nazi rockets. My favorite stopping place was the launch site monument, where the Army had tested Nazi rockets.
Jacob walking along the side of a square bunker meant to save monitoring technicians from rocket engine explosions. Those who built the bunkers built the bombs, the refrigerators, the plastic straws, the vacation homes, the golf clubs astronauts used on the moon, and vats of glue that bookmakers uses to hold sheets of printed paper firmly to the central spine. The alien owl, perched on barbed wire, turns to look. Round and round the head goes, a self-winding animal clock, tick-tock. Secret jump to the launch site monument, miles away. Jacob approaches the red gantry. We can hear his feet. They can feel the approaching concrete. An old rocket. America's first successful rocket product after WW2, with fins painted to make its flight twisting easier to read by study cameras. There's a snack bar and record store inside now, but not built to human proportions.
On the B television, I could see that this is where the moon and the earth were joined. On the B television, I could see that this is where the moon and the earth were joined. On the B television, I could see that this is where the moon and the earth were joined. On the B television, I could see that this is where the moon and the earth were joined.
An oscillator surfaced BTV, twirling. It wears its thoughts on its face. These transmissions make Jacob's nose itch. He prevents the sneeze by staring cross-eyed inside himself at the fabulous patterns. The 3D TV, which has split into many triangular surfaces, all in orbit around the expanding central empty shape that is their negative twin. The Earth, mirrored, in contradiction of gravity, evocative of the hollow earth theories that said we live on the inner surface of a sphere after birth. The mountains grow closer, allowing easier travel between the planets. Between, a literal stairway to heaven that Jacob will be climbing now in order to get where he's going.
All around this place, semi-intelligent weapons were trying to escape the Earth, hoping for a new life elsewhere. All around this place, semi-intelligent weapons were trying to escape the Earth, hoping for a new life elsewhere. All around this place, semi-intelligent weapons were trying to escape the Earth, hoping for a new life elsewhere. All around this place, semi-intelligent weapons were trying to escape the Earth, hoping for a new life elsewhere.
That exploded and containing BTV, which is all around nothing and surrounded by that too. Intersecting planes show the black fumed launch of a rocket, machines that somewhat blur the distinction between defense and offense. 2 times are 1 at once, but that doesn't mean you can't exit to your own time anytime you want. Between 2 flat moments of measured time, an out-of-sync rocket leaves our lonely planet, headed off on a long-anticipated, but probably dangerous, outer atmosphere vacation. The rocket misses the moon, which is falling to Earth, and thus a difficult-to-hit moving target. The BTV pretends for just a minute, actually longer than its usual attention span, that it is the moon. It thinks that is a pretty funny thing to do, but the keeper of the moon trademark is watching, and will send a stern letter to this TV's employers next week.
When I was away from the ground, the B television became even clearer. When I was away from the ground, the B television became even clearer. When I was away from the ground, the B television became even clearer. When I was away from the ground, the B television became even clearer.
The TV disappears in the darkness underneath the blue letterboxed frame of a rocket's ascending contrail, as seen on the ground by those who can't be there, don't want to be there, might end up there later. The BTV spins out. Since there are no background references either in the blue or dark, the meaning of all this emotion is mysterious. Jacob climbing a diagonal himself, up the red stairs, with the mountain in the background. Even using this method, it is difficult to get a sufficiently useful payload into orbit. A continuing and clumsy Jacob climbing up the ladder, surrounding by lines of support metal that seem to fill the space he is in. Someday they'll surround these struts with a building. Closer and closer to Jacob, up there in his veil reading the infinite noirs. The day has 1,000 eyes, and the night has only the moon. Though it is day, Jacob can feel the moon is watching him. We jump through time to be closer in space. This brings us near to the bridge of his nose. A head and shoulder portrait of the airless traveler, standing velcroed to the deck, steaming towards the sea at the helm of a mountain ship, dispatched to pluck drowning Atlanteans from the waters of the rising Atlantic Sea.
I could lose myself in the images and become a weapon myself, rising through the air. I could lose myself in the images and become a weapon myself, rising through the air. I could lose myself in the images and become a weapon myself, rising through the air. I could lose myself in the images and become a weapon myself, rising through the air.
An elastic compressed moon bounces in, bounced out, gathering impact in its elastic sides. With each drop, it bounces back a little less far the next time. Soon it will just roll up, energyless, to rest at Jacob's feet. A Pershing missile originally designed for Earth impact tried to take off, hoping to make it to the moon. Past the horizon, the Pershing missile rises through the intersecting times. 7 o'clock on the right, 9 o'clock on the left, which means that 8 o'clock has gone missing, slid down off the breaking gap, to lie on the floor of the void below. Further through the darkness, to where the temporal planes try to puzzle themselves back together in a different way. The dark is visible, and the blue is nearly blank. Rising through the micro zones of air, each of which has its own sort of dust. Trespassing on the 100-year-old aerial home of the Krakatoa dust family, blowing destructively through an accident, the Aerial Museum of Air expunged from leaders, which includes the last breath of George Washington, survived the missile passage, and the first breath of the last French Emperor of Mexico also survived, a certain miracle. Meanwhile, a school of UFOs sighted over the port wing, and the missile takes on this shape. All of these interesting facts, collected under the title Voyage of the Missile from Here to There, can be read in magazine form, stamped and made machine-readable on the side of this frame, running top to bottom on the right, like Japanese subtitles. First images of USA from very far away, shot from a captured V-2. Launched from Europe, landed here, bounced on impact, up again, heading towards South America now.
My destination was the moon. That's where the dead lived. My destination was the moon. That's where the dead lived. My destination was the moon. That's where the dead lived. My destination was the moon. That's where the dead lived.
Leaving the curve of the Earth. The atmosphere is curiously thin. This egg Earth, hard-boiled, refrigerated. An approach to the lit side of the round moon. No face visible. No hair either. No moon men living among crystal vegetables in caves covered with sharp edges. Just nice flat plains, right to the mountains, great for golf, covered with traps and sinkholes, makes the game more fun. In the dark sky above the also dark moon, tiny lights float there too. The lights hide little bodies that look just like yours and mine. Legs and arms crossed, not fetally, but with a delicate tension, ready to unwind and do something. Press a security alert button if you make a false move. Quadruplex view from a camera mounted on the top of a rocket crashing towards the moon. Earth observers had never been to the moon. Only way to get there was to crash a rocket on it and take pictures to the last second. Desperate to get extra detail out of the electronic images, they invented image processing. The last moments of the descent to tranquility, the rocket is playing one of its favorite navigation entertainment tapes. Mankind's greatest descents. It's not going to land at tranquility, but someplace farther, nearer. Out where the later astronauts played golf when the cameras weren't watching.
I always enjoyed visiting the moon. I always enjoyed visiting the moon. I always enjoyed visiting the moon. I always enjoyed visiting the moon.
The famous astronaut reaches the moon, as seen on TV by all. In my particular case, this happened the day my Hungarian grandmother from New Zealand arrived in the US by airplane. I was snapping pictures of the TV with my Polaroid swinger when she came in the basement and showed them to her. Two astronauts meet each other outside the lunar module. There is a flag there, stuck in the ground under the dark sky, flapping on electric wires.
The dead were always quiet until the last moment when I started to leave. The dead were always quiet until the last moment when I started to leave. The dead were always quiet until the last moment when I started to leave. The dead were always quiet until the last moment when I started to leave.
The planet holds its lost breath as the lunar module's engines ignite and safely lift the astronauts to safety.
That's when they spoke. That's when they spoke. That's when they spoke. That's when they spoke.
The very verbal dead appear, in their scribble language bodies, arranged as a flying line logo. A word disappears up Jacob's nose. Normal destination of psychotronic control devices in recent UFO abduction cases. The sky is hazy behind him as he ponders his visit through flexible space. A whole hive of wiggling bees. Are they riding some spherical shell that supernaturally, invisibly, covers the moon? Or are they back on home Earth, thinking hard about what is happening, sending out ragged thought emissaries to communicate with and take charge of the developing lunar situation, only one of many under their far-flung jurisdiction?
Spoke to me as bees. Spoke to me as bees. Spoke to me as bees spoke to me as bees.
This onion earth, our hive, sliced all along its outer side into one long fragile onion peel. Onions aren't made to be dissected this way, and this peel won't hold together too long. This image dissects itself into a long spiral, like those seen on the spinning discs of mechanical TVs. A B-line, made of segments covered with copies of B images, making up the very body of their invisible world. Each of these stuttered segments twirling by us is sharp-edged and individually dedicated to dissecting some image or individual in the world.
They showed me a line that I would have to follow through the darkness. They showed me a line that I would have to follow through the darkness. They showed me a line that I would have to follow through the darkness. They showed me a line that I would have to follow through the darkness.
The line begins to turn upon itself, and then fold into depth, turning itself into a more complete shape for counter-intuition. A useful tactic by the time you say hi. It will have wound itself around you, invisibly of course, and you won't feel a thing. The beeline becomes a funnel for the viewing eye. The small square at the end shows a few bees, who serve as a sort of sensor probe, communicating what they feel down along the long ribbon, where bees stand one next to the other in a relay line. So, quickly, the temperature message or the taste message get backs on this passing chain, communicating to the greater mass of ready-to-fly bees back at the old hive in the old cave on old Earth.
Led to a place hidden in the desert, where they were waiting for me. Led to a place hidden in the desert, where they were waiting for me. Led to a place hidden in the desert, where they were waiting for me. Led to a place hidden in the desert, where they were waiting for me.
The funnel's end dissolves to the destination in progress, actually a dangerous meteor descending to Earth. Missiles leave the Earth, go wild, drink comet water, and then grow gaseous hair. When they wander back to Earth, we don't recognize the hermits, and are naturally somewhat alarmed by the new intentions as they drop out of the air, jumping straight at us, arms, fins, wide open. Heading down through the clouds to the beginning place, where Jacob is still waiting for himself. A jet contrail with a ground shadow can be seen tries to get out of the way. It is mid-afternoon down there, every day, this time, as long as the season holds. A line of telephone poles leading across the desert. A Pershing missile drops out of nowhere to bury itself in the earth, a bird looking for bones. The spiral beeline reassembles itself into a square. A capstone to fit on the flat part of the pyramid. Under the current dark lighting, you can't assume that you're really seeing the space of this place, and therefore you really aren't seeing the volume of this BTV frame. And also remember that the bees transmit from the fifth dimension, up and away, the place beyond time, where life itself gives extra form to time and space, life being the fifth dimension, at least to these bees. Jacob's face retreats from the scene, retracts up his nose, where it will cover his brain, which is smaller than the face bone. This will result in a distortion of his recognizable features. You may not know him next time you see him.
I realized that I would have to follow this beeline out to the test range. I realized that I would have to follow this beeline out to the test range. I realized that I would have to follow this beeline out to the test range. I realized that I would have to follow this beeline out to the test range.
The mountains in Gantry, just above where Jacob entered on the climbing ladder. The earth and the moon grind everything between them. Jacob at the edge of the viewing/work platform atop the gantry. His double, or whoever that is above him at a right angle, not the best angle for joining two worlds. The earth and moon firmly joined at the gantry. Jacob's ladder has people and things climbing up and down it, though those going up looking like they're climbing head down, to those going in the other direction, and the same in reverse. A look down along the telephone and power poles, some at crazy angles. Surface structures often fall down here. This land is hollowed by impact sinkholes, and the tunnels that the buried fragments dig, trying to find their way back to the surface. The fragments are usually so dazed by impact, which has separated them from navigation systems, that they can't tell up from down, and so dig in any which direction. Lots of them, after a while, get used to being underground, and taking difficult for virtue, decided to stay there, rather than head up towards the surface. They've met others like themselves, who told them where up was, but of course they're not going to be heading in that direction anymore.
That's where the weapons were. They were leaving around the clock. That's where the weapons were. They were leaving around the clock. That's where the weapons were. They were leaving around the clock. That's where the weapons were. They were leaving around the clock.
A crew working on a mobile Pershing. Wheel it anywhere, and it's still accurate within a few feet at the other end. Sometimes, arbitrarily, these missiles will go up, make a quick turn, and land nose down on the launch pad they came from. A profoundly strange experience for any witness, since there isn't any impact. The missile just floats down, and then stands there, ballerina balanced on the tip of its nose, on the concrete pad. A technician turns to look at a paper printout, which seems to trigger the launch of the rocket in the next shot. Photography has been mechanized, allowing these technicians to control machines by thinking. The Pershing lifts off. Nothing funny about this at all. The quick rise of the missile and its contrail, which isn't gas. Actually, it is many little minerals. You could walk right up to it, a year later, and touch this pillar spume. Parts of the Southwest resemble a smoke forest, filled with petrified trees rising up like this in counties where the army bought the right to test missiles.
No one on base ever seemed to wonder what happened to the missiles that never came back after the launch. No one on base ever seemed to wonder what happened to the missiles that never came back after the launch. No one on base ever seemed to wonder what happened to the missiles that never came back after the launch. No one on base ever seemed to wonder what happened to the missiles that never came back after the launch.
A triple-eyed tracking telescope following and recording the flight of the missile. Left/right, top/bottom, here/there, then/now. All gets written down and sent off to special sculptors who make picture numbers into solid shapes, prototypes of the next generation missile. Looking down the barrel of the telescope as it tracks towards the sun. This gas ball propels our local universe across the missing dimensions. It is the micro-exhaust port of a spaceship so big that Ohio in comparison is only a tiny grain of dust sitting on a soup spoon in the next galaxy. The sun is trapped in the nose of the old missile sleeping in the web of its old gantry. Jacob walks down the red metal steps, clang, 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 afraid that rust from the annual rains have broken through the support bolts, which might mean his next step would be his last.
But I knew that they had become flying saucers, and that I could join them if I wanted, and become one of them. But I knew that they had become flying saucers, and that I could join them if I wanted, and become one of them. But I knew that they had become flying saucers, and that I could join them if I wanted, and become one of them. But I knew that they had become flying saucers, and that I could join them if I wanted, and become one of them.
Far away, that gantry urchin was just resting on. Jacob walks fast, and gets far in a short time. The launch site's concrete pyramid bunker is now right in front of us, and Jacob the Sphinx walks under the word "my." Someone seems to have claimed this place as their own. Some giant child. Army, forwards and in reverse. Part of dual or mirrored bunkers that converge at a robot face and center frame. Dual Jacobs are walking to meet at this hungry face, which has its mouth open, not to eat, only to talk. Jacob wants to shake his own hand, his other hand, and so heads for himself, hoping that the contact will have some sort of healing effect. Happy days. In our world, when split doubles can find their lost twins. Maybe even get their parents back together. Four-eyed James Hive Maker, pasted in the photo album of Unknowing, looks down from his black framed box face at us or them.